In the quiet town of Maplewood, when the moon hung high in the sky, a figure emerged from the shadows. This was no ordinary person. He was known only as the night banker. Dressed in a dark coat and a wide-brimmed hat, he moved with an air of mystery, blending perfectly with the night. The townsfolk rarely saw him during the day, but by nightfall, he would appear under the flickering street lamps, waiting for those in need. The night banker whispered promises of easy money and quick solutions to anyone who would listen. "Need a little extra cash?" he would ask with a sly grin. "I have just the right loan for you, and at an unbeatable rate." His words danced through the air like sweet music, captivating those who struggled to make ends meet. People felt drawn to him, believing he could help them out of their financial troubles. Farmers looking to buy new equipment and families wanting to fix their homes flocked to his shadowy corner of the street. However, what seemed to be a solution soon sparked curiosity and concern. How could one man offer such generous loans without a catch? Little did they know that beneath his charming exterior lay secrets that would soon unravel, leading the town on a journey of truth and awakening. As the night banker continued to charm the townsfolk of Maplewood, he cleverly crafted a web of deception. Behind closed doors, in a dimly lit room filled with stacks of paper and shadows danced by flickering candles, he created forged loan documents that looked remarkably authentic. With deft hands, he printed out forms that boasted low interest rates and promises that seemed impossible to refuse. "Just sign here," he would say smoothly, sliding the papers across a worn wooden table. The documents contained all the typical information, complete with fancy logos and bold lettering proclaiming the ease of repayment. To an untrained eye, they appeared legitimate, and many were lured in by the temptation of quick cash. The night banker knew precisely how to exploit the worries and hopes of those who approached him. He spoke with confidence, weaving tales about how his loans had helped countless families turn their fortunes around. He convinced them that they were making smart choices by borrowing from him rather than traditional banks. Yet each signature on those forged documents was a step deeper into a trap. With every loan offered, the night banker tightened his grip on their dreams, unaware that soon, the truth would unravel like a carefully stitched seam. The promise of easy money hid a darker reality that many were yet to realize. As night slowly faded and the first light of dawn crept over Maplewood, the sound of roosters began to fill the air. Their sharp, crowing calls echoed through the quiet streets, signaling the arrival of a new day. In this small town, the roosters were more than just farm animals. They were symbols of awakening and truth. With each crow, they seemed to remind the townsfolk that it was time to rise from their dreams and face reality. The early morning light revealed the vibrant colors of the world. Flowers bloomed, and dewdrops sparkled like tiny jewels on blades of grass. Yet for many, as they listened to the roosters, thoughts of their dealings with the night banker lingered in their minds. Some residents, still clinging to their hopes of financial relief, found themselves questioning their choices as the sun climbed higher. The roosters' calls became a metaphor for the dawning awareness that something wasn't quite right. They served as a wake-up call, urging people to reflect on the promises made under the cover of darkness. In this new day, as shadows faded away, the townsfolk would soon discover that truth often dawns slowly, but it always comes. The roosters were not just heralds of morning. They were harbingers of change, pushing Maplewood towards a reckoning that would unveil the night banker's deception. The townspeople of Maplewood had always prided themselves on their close-knit community, where trust was the foundation of their relationships. When the night banker first arrived, he quickly won them over with his warm smile and easy charm. He greeted everyone by name and listened to their worries as if they were his own, creating an instant bond that felt genuine. His friendly demeanor made it easy for people to forget their doubts. With each conversation, he sowed seeds of confidence in his services, assuring them that borrowing from him was a smart decision. "I'm here to help you," he would say, his voice a soothing balm for their financial worries. Many saw him as a savior, someone who understood their struggles and was willing to guide them to a brighter future. With such trust established, it wasn't long before residents began to borrow more money than they truly needed. Farmers took out loans for new equipment, while families borrowed heavily to renovate their homes, all believing they could easily repay the night banker. However, as the allure of easy money clouded their judgment, they did not recognize how deep they were digging their own holes. Unbeknownst to them, this growing dependence on the night banker would soon lead to devastating consequences, each misguided decision tightening the grip of his deception around their lives. As time passed, the initial charm of the night banker began to fade, revealing troubling signs that all was not well. Some borrowers started to struggle with their payments, feeling the weight of their debts bearing down on them like a heavy storm cloud. Farmers who had taken out loans for new equipment found themselves unable to meet the monthly demands, and families faced difficult choices as they scrambled to pay back what they owed. Whispers of concern began to circulate among the townsfolk. A few sharp-eyed residents started to connect the dots and questioned how a single man could offer such enticing deals without hidden costs. They compared notes and shared stories of their experiences with the night banker, noticing inconsistencies in his promises and practices that felt unsettling. One evening, a group of concerned neighbors gathered at the local diner, their voices low but urgent. "Have you noticed how he always seems to be around when people are desperate?" one woman remarked, her brow furrowed with worry. Others nodded in agreement, realizing that their blind trust had led them into murky waters. As these signs of trouble surfaced, the roosters continued to crow each morning, a reminder that dawn brought clarity. The townspeople began to realize that they needed to confront their situation before it spiraled further out of control. The shadows of doubt were creeping in, urging them to seek the truth behind the night banker's schemes. Amidst the growing unease in Maplewood, a young girl named Lucy decided to take matters into her own hands. Curious and bright, Lucy had always been fascinated by the stories her grandmother told, especially those about mysterious figures and hidden truths. After overhearing the worried whispers at the diner, she felt a strong urge to uncover what was really happening with the night banker. One afternoon, armed with her notebook and a pencil, Lucy quietly followed the night banker as he made his rounds through the town. She watched from behind an old oak tree as he met with borrowers, their faces filled with hope and desperation. Taking notes on everything she observed, his smooth words and charming smiles, she began to piece together her own story. As days went by, Lucy gathered information from other townsfolk, asking questions and listening closely. She discovered that many had signed documents they barely understood, all while being dazzled by promises of easy loans. Her heart raced as she realized the seriousness of what she had stumbled upon. With each clue she uncovered, Lucy's determination grew stronger. She knew she had to reveal the truth about the night banker before more families fell victim to his schemes. Little did she know that her investigation would lead her down a path filled with secrets that could change Maplewood forever. Lucy dove deeper into her investigation, determined to gather the evidence she needed. With her trusty notebook in hand, she approached the townsfolk who had borrowed from the night banker. Some were hesitant at first, still caught in the web of charm he had spun around them. But Lucy's earnestness and concern soon won them over. One evening, she set up a small gathering at the local park, inviting anyone willing to share their experiences. As people began to join her, their stories unfolded like pages from a book. A farmer recounted how he felt pressured into signing a loan for equipment that he later couldn't afford. A mother spoke of the sleepless nights she faced, worrying about how to repay money that had promised a brighter future but only brought stress. With each interview, Lucy diligently noted details, terms from forged documents, inconsistencies in the night banker's promises, and their own feelings of regret. These first-hand accounts began to form a compelling picture of deceit. Lucy didn't stop there. She also visited the town clerk to learn more about loan regulations and paperwork standards. She discovered that many of the documents lacked proper validation or even required signatures. Armed with this newfound knowledge and a mountain of notes, Lucy realized she was holding the keys to exposing the night banker's fraud before it was too late for her community. With her investigation complete, Lucy felt a mix of fear and determination as she prepared to confront the night banker. Under the dim light of a street lamp, she waited for him to arrive at his usual spot, her heart racing. She knew this moment was crucial, not just for herself, but for everyone in Maplewood who had been deceived. When the night banker finally appeared, his confident stride seemed to radiate charm.
Ah, Lucie.
"What brings you here so late?" he asked with a disarming smile. But Lucy was not fooled. She stood tall, notebook clutched tightly in her hand. "I want to talk about your loans," she replied firmly. "I know about the forged documents and how you've taken advantage of the townspeople." The surprise on his face quickly shifted to annoyance, and tension filled the air between them. "Little girl, you don't understand how things work," he retorted sharply, though there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice. Lucy pressed on, revealing specifics from her notes. Stories from families burdened by debt and documents without proper signatures. As Lucy laid bare the truth before him, the facade began to crack. The night banker's charming demeanor faded, replaced by anger and desperation. In that intense moment of confrontation, it became clear that secrets couldn't hide forever. The truth was ready to surface like dawn breaking over Maplewood. The aftermath of Lucy's confrontation with the night banker left many residents of Maplewood grappling with the fallout of his deceitful schemes. As more people came to terms with the truth, the weight of their burdens became painfully evident. Families who had once enjoyed a sense of security now found themselves drowning in debt, struggling to make payments on loans that had promised relief but instead led to despair. Farmers who had borrowed money for new equipment soon realized they could not afford the rising costs. Their crops wilted under the strain of financial stress, and some faced losing their farms altogether. Meanwhile, families who had taken out loans for home renovations were left unable to pay their bills and provide for their children. The gleaming dreams of a brighter future turned into nagging worries that overshadowed their lives. Broken trust echoed throughout the community as friends turned against each other, unsure of whom to rely on anymore. Whispers of betrayal filled the air, leaving a sense of unease hanging over Maplewood like a thick fog. Many began to question their own judgments and how they had fallen for the night banker's smooth words. As the townsfolk banded together to support one another, they faced an uphill battle to rebuild their lives and restore faith in their community. The path to recovery would be long, but they knew they needed to take the first steps toward healing, united against the shadows of deception that had loomed over them. As the dust settled after the confrontation with the night banker, the people of Maplewood began to unite in their quest for justice. Recognizing that trust had been shattered, they held community meetings to discuss how to address the financial harm done and how to prevent future deceptions. Led by Lucy, who had sparked a sense of determination among them, they formed a coalition committed not only to recovering their losses, but also to rebuilding their community with transparency. They sought legal advice, gathering evidence from Lucy's thorough investigation and testimonies from fellow borrowers. Preparing a case against the night banker, they worked tirelessly, highlighting the importance of protecting vulnerable residents from similar schemes in the future. As they rallied together, they also focused on healing. Neighbors who once felt isolated shared meals and resources while learning from each other's experiences. They set up workshops on financial literacy to ensure everyone understood the risks associated with loans. The day finally arrived when they confronted the night banker with their collective evidence. Though he attempted to charm his way out of accountability, the townspeople stood resolute, showing that their unity was stronger than his deception. In this process of seeking justice, Maplewood began its journey toward redemption. A brighter future built on trust and support instead of shadows and fraud, solidified by a renewed connection among its residents as reliable as the crowing of roosters at dawn. The story of the night banker serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of trust, honesty, and caution. The townspeople of Maplewood learned that while it is natural to seek help in times of need, one must always be wary of offers that seem too good to be true. The allure of easy money can quickly lead to dire consequences, especially when the source of that money is rooted in deception. Through their experiences, the residents came to understand the value of thorough investigation and communication. By sharing their stories and supporting each other, they were able to expose the truth and reclaim their lives from the shadows of deceit. Lucy's determination demonstrated that even a single voice can spark change and inspire others to stand up for what is right. Moreover, the town emphasized the significance of financial literacy, ensuring that everyone knows how to navigate loans and finances safely. This newfound awareness helped protect them from future scams and built a foundation for a more transparent community. As they moved forward together, the people of Maplewood recognized that rebuilding trust takes time but is essential for a strong community. The crowing roosters served as a symbol of awakening, reminding them daily to remain vigilant and supportive. In the end, they learned that true wealth lies not in money but in the bonds formed through honesty and mutual trust.